Wave 3 of the Booster Course Pass just dropped on Mario Kart 8. Well, more like a week ago now, I guess. But anyways, we have it here now, and little spoiler, but I personally think that this is the best wave we've had so far in this pass. Every single track slaps so hard, and it's the first wave to have no tracks I consider too boring or a waste. Of course, not every single one is perfect, but that just comes with the territory. I got so excited when these courses were revealed like 4 months prior due to that data mine. Well, I mean, Maple Treeway technically wasn't supposed to be in this one, so... Well, anyway, it's time that I rank these 8 tracks like I did with the past 2 waves. And just know that this was the hardest wave for me to rank. Everything's just too even. And my opinions will likely change, so that my ranking could be very different in the future. So just know that. Anyways, let's get right into it. Oh, and I almost forgot. All footage in this video, like last time, is from Xcage Game. So make sure to go check him out. Alright, here we go. It pains me to put any of these at the bottom of the list, but one has to take that spot. And unfortunately, London Loop just doesn't do it for me like the rest of these tracks do. Does this mean I think this track is bad? No way. I don't even think this track is mediocre. I'd consider it a nice track. Something not too energetic, but not too dull. My only real negative is that nothing much actually happens in the track. Sure, there's some stuff like chain chomps, split paths, and a drawbridge ramp, and the chain chomps even come off their hooks and start rampaging on the course during the final lap, which is a pretty fun and cool little obstacle to avoid. But besides that, not much else happens here. Mostly just plain bare roads with some item boxes and coins. And while there is nothing wrong with that, it does make things a lot less interesting, as there are a lot of parts where literally nothing is happening. No off-road shortcuts or anything. Now, like I said, that doesn't make this track bad in any way, just kind of a letdown. Now, the scenery of this track, that's the main selling point here. You get to see so much of London, and everything just looks so nice, from monuments like the Buckingham Palace to more general stuff like the river. It's a pretty course with lots to see, and the fog gives the course its own little flair. I love the aesthetic it gives, like a calm and chilly day with not much happening. It's a really relaxing environment. Now, the music is fine, nothing bad, but also nothing that really stands out. It's really just a stereotypical rock piece, and that's it. Still good, but definitely something that won't be considered a classic later down the line. Like I said, it was hard to put any track at the bottom, but this one personally just left the least amount of impression on me. And straight on to number 7, we have the second city track of this wave, being Berlin Byways. Now, this one basically is just the exact same problem I had with London Loop. Long stretches where really nothing happens, but I feel like while we don't see as much of the city here, it's still nice scenery and we get some more changes in locations, such as a train station where you even get to go inside the train. Also, there's just more to do. There's more boost pads, a glider ramp, and even womps to trick off of and thwomps to avoid. And plus, just like another Booster Course Pass track, Shroom Ridge, we also have cars on the racetrack that we get to avoid, which I was not expecting them to do. I really hope they do that for some other city tracks in the future, and maybe even add that feature to past city tracks such as New York Minute, for example. Now, there aren't many cars on the road, and they do move kind of slowly, so they aren't that huge of an obstacle, but it's that small little detail that makes me prefer this one by just a little bit to the former. Now the music, oh my god, it's such a bop. I love the dubstep to it. It's a really catchy tune. I might actually prefer it to the original piece back in Tour, which, let me tell you, is truly saying something. So overall, still a really solid track. For the next spot is a track that I thought was definitely going to make it in this pass, with its design and perfectness for 8, as well as being a huge track in Tour, which Nintendo definitely seems to like with this pass, Rock Mountain. For starters, this track is pretty alright by itself. It's a fun little trek through a mountainous area, It has huge cliff sides, dark cave tunnels, massive glider ramp jumps with some pipes you can trick off of with the wind blowing out, and a part where you can climb all the way back up the mountain in this intense and frankly awesome part of the track. We have the angle of which we're driving, the boost pads, and even boulders dropping down. And heck, for the first time in this pass, we actually have dedicated anti-gravity segments, not just for the whole track, but a segment that allows for this kind of track design. Which, hell yes, this allows for so many opportunities to mix up the retro tracks. And I'm glad they brought it back for this wave, as I really wanted this portion to have anti-gravity. So yeah, this track is pretty fun. Why is it at number 6 then, you may be asking? Well, it's a very solid track, but it's still a pretty basic one. The scenery is absolutely beautiful with the forest with all the trees and logs covering the track and clouds covering the ground to show how high we are, but the textures are a bit too Tour-esque, and there could be a bit more happening. Oh, and the music is just okay. It's kind of like London's theme, but slightly better. But still, I am a sucker for mountain areas, despite my fear of heights, and this is no exception. I love the whole set, and it's a really pretty course to look at with all the vibrant colors. Really glad this one got added. Next up, we have another GBA remake being Boo Lake. And man, can I just say that this track looks absolutely astonishing? It's not my favorite looking track of this wave, but the water, house in the background, and textures give this course a spooky yet mesmerizing feeling. And the music is so good too. This track feels mysterious and haunting, like leading you to the next part of its spooky layout. I love this remix. Anyways, I love it when Nintendo decides to remake GBA tracks because there is so much potential for them to go all out with the designs and visuals. So much so to where the track feels completely new. Like, now that the course isn't restricted to a semi-2D plane, we can have ramps for jumping, tilted boards, a shortcut, fish bones which are possible to bump into, and a whole anti-gravity section under the water. This track was originally at the bottom of my list, but it has done nothing but grow on me these past few days. It's a very solid remake of this track. Hope we can see some more of Nintendo's elaborate remakes of these tracks later in this pass, because I love seeing what they can come up with. And halfway down our list, we come to Peach Gardens, a track I was originally, honestly, not too hyped for. I was still excited for it to return, but Peach Gardens was a track that never really stuck with me, you know? I still loved it back in the day when I played Mario Kart Wii religiously, but I don't think I ever looked at it the same way other people do. And yes, that still kind of applies here, but this track's inclusion in here allowed me to give it another chance to grab me. And while granted, it's not like the way other people seem to like it, I found myself enjoying it a lot more than I did back then. The track has a great theme and design. All the shrubbery and greenery make this course a good track just to drive around in and relax. And the music helps the atmosphere as well. This piece does such a good job making you feel at home here, like you're frolicking through your backyard. And all the details like Mario characters being the giant trim bushes and other botany being more unique unlike the last two versions is very welcome. The chain chomps are still here despite them not having item boxes behind them anymore, which is kind of a shame. We have the newly added piranha plant near the end of the course, and the staple Monty Moles during the final stretch of the first 2 laps. It's all pretty much here. I think they might have rearranged some stuff. I could have sworn they moved some patches of flowers around, but it's nothing to cry over. And remember when I said something about the first 2 laps? Well, on the 3rd lap, the track actually changes to allow racers to go backwards in a new path not present in the past 2 versions. That is so cool and changes things up so much. It's not that different an experience from going the regular way, nor was it as huge an impact as how Paris Promenade did it, but still, this was a really cool inclusion I'm glad got added. It's kinda like how Kalimari Desert did it in a way. I really hope they decide to do this for some future tracks because I love going backwards and think it's a really fun idea. So yeah, fun track that I liked way more than I did originally. I know I've said this many times, but Christmas time is my favorite time of year. And because of this, I was so excited for Merry Mountain to come to Mario Kart 8. I love winter-themed courses and video games as a whole. it can be so peaceful and yet so vibrant at the same time. And given that Merry Mountain is Christmas themed, has snow in it, has a mountain, takes place at night, and has a bunch of colored lights and decor, that makes this track have probably my favorite aesthetic and set design of the entire game. I absolutely love it, and everything blends together perfectly. This is also probably my favorite looking track of this wave. Maybe. It does have tough competition, but not only are the visuals absolutely gorgeous, especially the snow and road, but there's so much to see and look at. All the presents, the ski lift that leads to the giant present at the top of the mountains in the background, the town with so many trees, candy canes, and more, the train track, the train itself, there's so much to see. And the track is also a pretty fun time. The music is a fun festive bop, the race up the mountain is intense and fun, going on the train tracks is exhilarating, and going down the mountain with the anti-gravity is a great way to end the track. And heck, Mario Kart 8 even made half pipes for these courses. You heard me right. The devs introduced an entirely new mechanic of the game in this wave. I am so glad that half pipes are back. This track is such a fun holiday track that I will definitely be playing every December. Such a fun time. Here it is. My childhood. Maple Treeway. I used to play this track so much back in the day. Like I said, I played Wii a whole lot, and this is one of my favorite tracks from the game. I love the fall time. All the beautiful scenery and cool air makes it a really relaxing season I really enjoy. And I'm so glad we finally have this track on the big screen again. This time in HD, which I have wanted for so long, and it looks beautiful. I'm so glad it got added in this wave instead of being in Wave 6 like the leak said. Because this was the track I wanted most to come to this pass when it got announced nearly a year ago. Oh my god, it's almost been a year, literally how. But anyways, this track is just as good as I remember. The big tree centerpiece and the rest all look great. They kept that shortcut that's really fun to take. They added back to the half pipes, like I said previously. And of course, all the other mainstays like all the branch pathways and the Wiggler section. Sad they got rid of the swingy bridge, of course, but I guess it's no huge deal. Still really miss it though. I don't have much else to say, honestly. I love this track to death and am very nostalgic for it, so I'm really glad it's here. It was hard to put this track at number 2, but there was one track here that I enjoyed a bit more. Some of you might be surprised, but honestly, I don't think many of you are. 3DS Rainbow Road is such a special experience. It's not just a track, it's a journey through space, a spectacle. Having this track be playable on the big screen in HD with these amazing visuals and remix, it's all so mesmerizing. I loved this track on the 3DS, but here it's so much better. Like I said, the visuals are amazing. Seeing the vastness of space with all the stars, planets, and more with the beautiful effect on the road is just breathtaking. Accompanied by this great tune playing in the background that soothes and empowers you at the same time. It's a great atmosphere. And the track itself is really fun too. It was soothing but intense at the same time. Zooming past the planets, driving on Saturn's rings and the moon, and flying over asteroids is so much fun. And there are even some fun obstacles for us to go through, like chain chomps, those little booster thingies, whatever they're called, and the turning cylinder. And they're all so much fun to go through. That's what this track is. Fun, intuitive, creative, and just a pure ride. I know I'm kind of gushing about this, but it's just so cool that this track has come to the big screen for us to play whenever. All these tracks are basically preserved on this game. And it's a good thing they are because they are very beloved and deserve to be in this game. Okay, and that's Wave 3. Like I said, easily my favorite wave so far. So many good tracks. It was really hard to rank them, and my opinions are definitely subject to change. We'll have to see. But before we end the video, Nintendo added 3 updates to this game randomly I want to mention. First, they nerfed Waluigi and Wiggler. Thank God I'll finally be able to see some diversity in online games. Oh, who am I kidding? People are still going to pick this combination. Second is that getting struck by lightning while gliding doesn't make you fall. Again, thank God. Glad they're bringing in more stuff from Tor. And that happening was so annoying, so I'm really happy they were removed. And finally, the biggest addition out of all of these easily, the feature to be able to make custom item selections for races. This simple inclusion may be small, but it opens so many doors. Not only can you remove certain items that you don't like, but you can do races with no items, give certain items to certain teams, and even have a one-item race, including just the blue shell, which I've seen plenty of clips of on Twitter, and it looks so chaotic but so much fun. Really happy with its inclusion, and I hope Nintendo decides to add more updates like this in upcoming waves. Anyways, that's it for this video. Like I said before in a few videos, I'm making a Christmas video, and while I want to get it out before the holiday, preferably a few days before Christmas Eve, don't be surprised if I have to delay it till after. Anyways, I'll see you guys later, subscribe, follow me on Twitter, yada yada yada.